Welcome back!
Welcome back to Drink Read Fabio!
I'm Brimmer.
And I'm Sophia Kaiafas, and we're your hosts of this podcast.
We're doing another fun and different episode this week.
Yes, we wanted to shake it up because we're assuming that a lot of the listeners are, well, besides our parents and our besties, are book lovers.
Avid readers.
Yes, and have probably heard of the series
The Court of Thorns and Roses.
You know, you've seen it, you've heard about it. It is
the best.
It's the best. But
and both of us have read the series and have loved the series, and we feel like it has been out for a long enough time now to where we can talk about it and we can kind of debate and share our favorite moments and our least favorite moments throughout the whole series.
Yes, while we drink this interesting concoction that we made today, please don't drink it. It tastes kind of bad, but we tried to combine a couple different things we have. White wine, we took some strawberry liqueur, and we thought it was gonna be like kind of fun, but it tasted like communion wine. And then we're like, what's gonna make it better? Cranberry juice. And it did, but it still tastes bad. So, cheers to that.
Just some weird ass cocktail.
All right, so
But we're drinking it.
do you want to start with a description of the plot? I'll just kind of explain more about the first book and how we get into this world, and then we'll take it away and give you a little bit more of a recap for people who have listened. So, for those of you who haven't read the book, it's basically about this girl named Farah. She is a human, and she lives in a world where fairies and humans exist together, but there is a wall separating them, so they don't live among each other. Farah's family used to be rich, but now they're very poor. And she is the provider for the family. She finds the food, she gives money to buy them clothes and things like that. One day she is out hunting and she ends up killing a wolf who is trying to kill her prey, basically her food. And the wolf ends up being a fairy. We have a treaty that if a human kills a fairy, they have to basically become whoever that fairy was, their high lord, their slave. So the High Lord of the Spring Court, there's different courts, comes to take her, and she basically is indebted to him. And she has to live in the fairy world forever. She can't go home and see her family. But he's not what she thought that fairies were going to be like, and they start to have a bond and kind of find a romance in there. And she realizes that fairies aren't all what she thought they were, and she
Goes on this huge adventure.
Yeah.
This whole crazy adventure happens now that she's stuck in the Fae world and is introduced to all this magic, and now is a human among a lot of magical creatures.
There's things that she has to fight for that she didn't know that she would have to fight for to save not only the fairies, but
Her
all
family.
humankind, basically.
Yeah.
And then as the story keeps going on, Farah becomes even more involved in the fairy world. She makes new friends, and then her family becomes involved, which makes it even more crazy and more
Heartbreaking.
yeah, exactly. So you're gonna have to read to find out.
So if you haven't read the book, go watch a different episode, go listen to a different episode.
Yes.
Go read the books, and
Yes.
then come back and listen to this. We're
Yes.
giving you a big, long sip.
Yes,
So
because we don't want to spoil it for you, and we're gonna spoil a lot of things.
All right.
All right, so tell us what the plot holes in that summary were.
So you guys know now, of course.
Yes.
that she falls in love with Tamlin. She has to fight for Tamlin. Tamlin ends up being a jackass, and she ends up falling in love with the Rysand. And then meets all of his friends and becomes super close. And then they find out there's a whole other evil person who's
Yeah.
the king. And he wants to basically take over the world and destroy all humankind and just
Yeah.
make it more of a fairy magical world for everybody. He wants to take over all the land.
Yeah, he wants one king, not a bunch of like high lords who rule over their own courts.
You guys know.
You know.
And then obviously her sisters become high fae.
And they get roped into it.
They get roped into it. There's a whole war. They end up winning the war. Feyre's the most powerful fairy ever.
Yeah.
And then we get to hear a little bit about Nesta and Cassian's story.
Yes, Nesta and Elaine are both depressed and they overcome their odds in the last book and we see their journey.
Yes, and we get a little bit about their journey after finishing Feyre and Rysand's journey.
Yeah, a little bit. But y'all know.
We hope she continues with another book.
Oh yeah, that is one thing we should point out. One, we really want a book about Elaine.
We really want a book about Elaine.
Hopefully Azriel will be in there, we're assuming, and Lucian, because they're kind of all tied in. And we really want a book about Morgan.
Yes.
And hopefully she has like a lesbian romance in there, because that would be amazing.
And just wrap up all the ends that she has opened and never completed.
Yes, because there's so much there.
So many loose ends.
And we were talking about Lucian's brother Eris.
Yes.
How he kind of is like maybe a good guy, but we don't know.
They kind of just touched on it.
And then Lucian is actually the son of Hellion, and like that's a whole thing.
So.
And Lucian still doesn't know. It's kind of
we gotta closes.
Yeah,
we gotta figure that.
Sarah, girl,
gotta tie it.
We need more.
We need more.
We need more books.
Anyway, we're gonna now discuss. We both picked our 3 top favorite moments in the whole series and our 3 least favorite moments in the whole series, and we don't know the other person.
Yes, which was
quite
difficult.
It was very difficult. We didn't want to sit here for 5 hours. And we don't know the other person, so we're gonna kind of debate and discuss and talk about it.
Yes.
So we're gonna start off with our favorite moments. So do you want to go first?
Yes, I'm gonna start with like my top. Like I'm gonna start with the one at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then work up to my favorite one.
Okay.
Okay. So my third favorite is when the girl's father shows up and to fight for the Fae with the 3 ships named after each daughter.
Yeah.
And the leading one that he's riding is named Nesta. I was like, he really sucked as a dad until that moment, and he's like, I know I sucked and I'm here to fight for this group that I don't even know.
Yeah.
He's just like, my daughters are in trouble and I need to be there for that. And then that makes his whole death even more honorable and more like depressing.
I know.
Because he pulled through in the end. I loved that moment.
And especially because you're so mad at him. You're so mad at the dad.
Oh,
I was so mad at the dad because, in the first book, he kind of just gives up.
So he really pulled through in the end, and it was such a good moment in the book. This is in the 3rd book, and it was such a good moment because they were like kind of struggling at that point in the battle, and they're like, we need more forces here, and he just pulls through, and they see him in the distance, and that was a great moment. I love that.
That's so true. I love it. My 3rd favorite is the first winter solstice with Rysand at the end of book 2.
Yeah.
Where it's also Feyre's birthday.
Yeah.
Her birthday's winter solstice. And in the night court, it's their big ceremony where the shooting stars happen, and it's like a beautiful night. And they're on the roof with all her friends.
Yes.
And she comes out in that iconic dress that they keep bringing up in the book that looks like stardust, basically. It's like super glittery, and they explain her gorgeous dress.
That's a good moment.
And she goes up there, and she just has the biggest smile on her face, and Rysand describes it as like the happiest he's ever seen her, and she just grabs her friends and starts dancing with them.
She overcame so much in that book.
Yeah.
She was so depressed.
And she grabs them and just like, they're dancing all together, and she's so happy, and she takes Rysand in her arms, and they're so happy and in love, and they stare at the stars.
Yeah, it is a cute moment.
And that dress, I just can't get over
I know.
it.
I hope the series pulls through, because I can't wait to see the costumes.
I know.
Especially her dresses. Like,
I know.
Oh, they
and
describe
that
them. We love it. Okay. My second favorite moment. This is in the first book. It's just so epic. So when all the Fey Lords save Farah and imbue their magic into her, And that moment when she dies and Tamlin is crushed, but also Rhysand is crushed, and you're just like, there's something about him.
You knew?
Yeah, like you just know that he like wants to fight for her, and he's trying so hard. Like Tamlin's just crying, and he's like actually fighting. And he's like,
Tamlin has given up.
Tamlin's given up, and Rhysand's trying anything he can.
Yeah, he won't let her die.
Yeah, and that's just
epic.
I
forgot about that part.
It's so epic. And that she like comes back to life, and she has like,
and the first
fully
face she
changed.
sees is Rhysand's.
Yeah.
She doesn't even see Tamlin's face.
And when she dies, she sees everything that's happening through Rhysand's eyes.
That's true.
And so now this is the first time we're realizing this connection is there, and we're like, there's gonna be something happening here.
Yes.
And it's just cool because her becoming a Fae catapults the entire story. So it's just such a good moment. And the way they describe it, I just thought it was so cool.
Okay, my second one favorite moments that I want to talk about is just Rhysand in the second book. I love how Sarah J. Maas wrote Rhysand in the second book.
He's a feminist icon in that book.
He goes through such a journey because you start out in that book just hating him.
Rhysand?
Yeah, in the second book.
Yeah.
You hate him because you're like, why does he keep pulling her away? She doesn't want to go with you.
Yeah.
But then slowly but surely, of course, you realize that he actually is taking care of her. He's so sweet and patient with her from the moment he meets her, like, and takes her over.
He just understands her.
He understands. He makes sure that she's fed. He notices that she's lost weight. When Tamlin, who claims that he loves her, wants to marry her, hasn't even noticed. He doesn't even talk about, and like makes sure that she eats. And he knows this whole time. He says he's known since the trials in the first book that she was his mate.
Yeah.
Since she died, he knew. But he keeps it a secret because she knows that.
Yeah.
He knows that she loves Tamlin, and he's willing to give her up. He loves her so much that he is willing to let her go and marry Tamlin because he just wants her to be happy.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's so nice. Until he's like, you literally begged for me to help you, so I did.
Yeah, he's great.
Even then, he was so patient. He never pushed anything on her, even knowing that they were mates, until she showed that she also kind of was feeling it too.
Yeah.
Even when she found out that they were mates and he didn't tell her and she got mad and disappeared, he let her chill out and do her thing, even though it killed him inside to let her do that. Oh, I love it. It's just such a great arc to show that he turns from this villain that we have heard of, about like him being part of the court of nightmares and things. He's like, no, that was literally all a ruse.
Yeah.
So that I could keep my people safe.
When he shows her Valaris, that's such a good moment.
I know.
Because it really is like, I trust you and I want to share this with you so you really see who I truly am.
I know.
And he's like, I suggest that you start training too. And he wants her to be strong and learn how to use her powers. And he teaches her how to read!
Yeah, I know! And she had been begging Tamlin to let her train. And Tamlin was like, no, I don't want you to train.
Because he's like, I don't want you to have any weaknesses, so if you're in danger, you can fend for yourself.
I know.
And okay. So my number one favorite. And okay, it's not like a certain moment. It's kind of more general like that one was. Because it's just hard to find like one moment that you just love. But I just really enjoyed watching the friendship between Nesta and Emery and Gwen form.
Yeah.
It was just so sweet, and each of their arc, like they both came from such a weak point, but they're all have such different personalities, and the way they used the training to become strong in who they were, in like physically and emotionally. It was so lovely. And I like, even though the romance is such a big part of the book, like we forget that friendship is also a kind of form of romance, and it's love, and it's also passionate and loyal, just like, you know, one that you would have with a romantic partner. And I just thought it was so special, and I love that they brought the best out of each other, that they end up overcoming these impossible odds by becoming Valkyries, and also defeating the trials where they're in the like, Hunger Games basically, and they win, and they're the first women to do that. And they also have a smutty book club, which is just amazing.
Which is us.
I literally loved that part. I was like, oh my god, they have a book club.
And when the house was giving them all the treats.
Yes.
She was like, this is so fun at their sleepover.
Yes.
And the house was just like, oh, I want a unicorn that's made out of bubbles. And I was like, yes.
I just loved their friendship.
They had all the sweets around them.
Yeah. Because I think it was just so different than everything that we had already experienced with the book. And I was like, this is just such a special relationship. And Nesta came from such a dark place, and these girls like brought such light out of them. And all of them came from such horrible circumstances.
And I think the most special part is that none of them had friends until they met each other. Every single one didn't have a true friend until they came together.
And like they're forever friends.
Yeah.
Sister.
My number one,
let's hear it,
was also from the 5th book. Was Nesta and Cassian's spicy time.
Woo! There's so much.
There's so much, and it's all so good.
That's one of my honorable mentions, but
Was
I'll share it after
time?
you. It was the sex scene between Cassie and Nesta when she's in like that pool bathtub thing in her room.
Yeah.
And he comes in. I was screaming. It was so good.
Yes. I mean, the sex scenes in the 5th book are still, and we read a lot of romance. We reread a lot of sex scenes.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's gone to kind of a point in my reading time where most of them don't even turn me on anymore because I'm so used to reading them.
It has to be like something different, but
these ones still get me.
they're good.
They're the best sex scenes I've ever read, I think, in a book.
But can we talk about that in the sex scenes though? There's the part with the wings.
Okay,
but just in general, the wing thing.
With Rysand and Feyre, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot about like, it takes you out
like
of
they
it.
have a clit on their wings. Literally.
It's so funny. That does take you out.
Like,
are you kidding me?
If someone just knew that, like outside of reading the book, they'd be like, what the fuck?
I mean, really be like, they can come from you touching their wings.
Yeah. So weird. When you're like reading the book, you just kind of accept it and like move on. Try not to judge it, but I was just kind of like, this is silly. This is so silly.
It's kind of silly that they can just be like,
and they're like,
but yeah, thankfully the 5th one, they don't talk about it much. Not as much as Rysand and Feyre do a lot of wing play.
oh my god, Bryson and Feyre are like sex all the time. Especially in the 5th book, they're like, hey, so I just boned her in our room back there. Like,
And they
you're
don't
like,
even show the sex
wow.
scene, they just say it.
Yeah.
And, or like anytime that Feyre gets turned on because she's pregnant or something, it's more scented or something. So all the friends are always like, oh,
The scent! How do you get away with anything?
I know.
That's like, I feel bad when like guys get boners randomly or like, you know, have
people
boners.
can smell you?
Yeah. It's like, you can hide it, you can kind of hide a boner, but smell, you can't hide smell.
No.
You're like spraying your perfume.
Stop.
Like maybe it'll, like.
And Feyre doesn't even care. She's just like, sorry guys. My favorite sex scene that they have is the one after the bath. Or it's, after the one that you're saying. It's like, I think I put it chapter 41. So if you want to go back and look. And it's the one where Cassian comes in and Nesta basically says to him straight up, why haven't you come for me again? Why haven't you come searching for me after we had sex in the bath? Why haven't you? And he kind of says, well, I thought you were stressed. Because, you know, Cassian's so cute. He gets all nervous. I love Cassian. He's like,
That's my other honorable mention. It's just Cassian, period. I literally am obsessed with Cassian. Like, Rhysand, when I was like, Rhysand's everything. Got to the 5th book, Cassian.
he comes in, he's just like, I didn't come for you because I thought you were nervous and stressed, so I didn't. And she was thinking, so you enjoyed it? She literally says that to him. Yeah. So you enjoyed it? And he says, I think about it every single night. And he comes up to her and he goes, do you touch yourself at night and think about what happened? And she says, every single night. And he asks her, is it better when you touch yourself or do you like it when I touch you better? And she says, I'm not sure. I think I need a side-by-side comparison.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then
oh my god.
And then it says, you only get to touch me when I tell you I can.
Yeah. Yep.
That gets me every time. Oh, I die.
That's a good one.
Sarah J. Maas. You girl, you really did that.
You really did that, girl.
Also, it's a 7-page long sex scene. Chapter 41, check it out.
Yeah.
5th book.
There you go.
That's my number 1. I also have some honorable mentions, but why don't you go first? I guess you.
Oh, I already said. Basically just that one sex scene and Cassian, period, because...
Now we can talk about Cassian.
I love him. One, let's just start off. His name, Cassian. Are you
Hot.
kidding me? Hot. That's the hottest boy name I've ever heard
Also,
in my life.
can we talk about how they met and how they met when Nesta was still a human?
Yep.
And he walks in and he's all high and mighty and she kind of brushes him away and he doesn't back down from her and like sasses her back.
Because he's just kind of a smart ass and I really love that about him. He's like,
so
my
loyal
God.
and so kind.
Yeah, he's so patient.
And when he trains them,
I know, when he trains them, I'm like, I don't know how the other girls didn't fall in love with him. I would have been like,
I would stare at him and just be like,
I'd have been like, Cassie, and I know, I'd be like, Nesta, girl, your boyfriend's fucking hot.
I know.
I mean, I guess they weren't dating, but I'd be like, girl, why are you, if you're not gonna date him, I will, girl.
But when they are training and they're doing sit-ups and they're staring at each other after they've had sex and they're fucking each other with their eyes, and the friends are like,
and the girl's like, we're reading smutty romance books. And like stare at him.
yeah. And the girls totally know it.
Yeah.
And they keep teasing her about it.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna stop looking at him now?
Yeah, literally, I love it. I'm like, that's totally what we would do.
I know. But then he's like, but then he switches from being like kind of shy and cutesy to being like, do you want me to fuck you?
I literally love him. I love Cassian.
He's the best.
He's literally the best.
Oh, I love him too. My honorable mention is the ball in the 5th book of when Nesta has to convince Eris to marry her.
Right.
And she comes in and Elaine was saying, you know, Nesta's an amazing dancer. Also, when she does herself up, she is the most gorgeous girl in the world. She is the only person that will be able to take, like, you won't be able to take your eyes off of her. She's perfect. And she walks in and Cassian's like, oh my gosh. And everybody is shocked because they've seen her in all these like plain clothes because she's depressed and everything. And she comes in and she wows everybody away. And Eris is drooling.
Yeah.
And she takes him and dances on the floor. And Cassian is just describing how beautiful and lovely she is. And you can tell that from like that moment that Cassian is like in deep. And then he goes in and forces her to dance with him.
Yeah. Okay. But what do we think she's dancing like? Do you think she's like, or is she like, with the taste of your lips, I want it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is she dancing like?
I bet it's like a waltz. I bet
It's like, sloopy slash.
I think it's probably but it's not the like stupid ones from Burgess where they're like,
yeah, she's like, the
stupid.
We can't even see her face.
Yeah. No, it's probably because that's the thing is she dances with Eris and he falls in love with her when she's dancing.
She's like,
and she's like, bend and snap.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But Eris, remember, he dances with her and tells her while they're dancing, like, I want to marry you. You're mine. And she's like, Eris, what a guy.
What a guy.
Oh, and then they describe her dress and it's like the low V and it's all sapphires.
Oh my god.
So good.
Another honorable mention that just popped in my head. When every time when Farrah has to wear that sassy outfit and get like basically drunk in the first book and Rhysand, she has to like sit on Rhysand's lap and do all that shit.
That's a good one.
I was like,
that kind of touches on my second honorable mention.
oh.
My second honorable mention is when they have to pretend that she's that person again for the Court of Nightmares.
Yes!
And she wears the outfit, and she's not drunk, but she still has to kind of act like she's like his sexy evil.
But they're not like together yet, really.
No, exactly. And it's the first time they're touching like this.
Yeah.
But she has to act like she's like the evil, sexy mistress of him,
Mm-hmm.
and that she's evil and has left Tamlin for him and all this stuff.
And she's basically naked.
Yeah, she's basically naked and sits on his lap, and he starts like slowly moving his hand higher and higher on her thigh.
No.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Hell.
So good. And you know, in Rysen's mind, you hear him being like, I don't know if this is too much, but I can like smell her getting turned on. And, like,
Smell the smell.
And it turns me on because obviously she's liking what I'm doing, and he knows that they're mates, and he wants her to like him. Oh, it's so good.
Now let's go to the bad things.
All right,
Or just
do you want me
maybe
to
the
start off?
Sure, you go first.
All right, this is my third least favorite moment. Just the beginning of book 2. The beginning of book 2.
Yeah,
Like,
that kind of goes along with one of mine.
I know that it's necessary to make Feyre's life miserable. I get it. But if like they didn't do that, then it wouldn't make sense for her to leave Tamlin and like go off, whatever. But I feel like it was dragged out for so long.
Oh, sorry,
And honestly
Need
made
help.
the beginning of book 2 hard to get past that part. Because she was so miserable.
It was just
Why don't we both touch on it, because it's both one of ours.
Yes, I'll go
We'll
more
go more
in
in
depth, but on when I get to mine. But it was just such a shift. Like I really loved the first one. I was like, I'm all in. Tamlin, love him. Woohoo, let's go. And then the second book was like, wait, what's happening? He's like kind of a dick, and Farrah's like hates her life, and he doesn't even notice.
I mean, it didn't give.
It just felt like
any shift.
Why?
There's no shift. I wish it would have started off with them happy.
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
slowly went to shit.
I agree.
Because it started off with them in shit, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? They were
You're like,
so happy,
why?
and it was happily ever after the first book. Why now does she hate her life?
Yeah,
And he's
I mean, we
terrible.
get that she's depressed because she just went through a traumatic thing, but like, why is he not helping her when he was so attentive in the first book? It just felt like
It made no sense.
it made no sense.
And was honestly really sad.
yeah,
And lasted for far too long.
I'll go more in depth.
It lasted for far too long. Anyway, a part of that was I also hated how weak it made Lucian look.
Yeah,
Because
poor Lucian.
I love his character so much.
Me too.
I really do. I love his character
He
so much. And
was put in a
this
bad situation.
part of the book didn't do him any favors.
Oh,
He was trying so hard to stick up for her and help her, but he was too chicken to do anything
He's
about
stuck
it.
in the middle. And he like feels indebted to Tamlin for what he did for him.
And I didn't like that Sarah J. Maas did that to him. I think
it helps with the growth in the last book, but
yeah, it still doesn't help.
It just made it uncomfortable, the whole thing
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
I did not like that. What's your third?
Okay, my third one, let's see what I put. Okay, this one isn't like a moment that was bad in a sense of like writing. It just made me feel horrible, and like it was just a really sad moment. This is probably one of the sadder moments in the whole book. When Tamlin sells Rhysand and all of them out, like sells them, the whole clan out, to the princesses and the king. And Azriel is hit by an ash bolt and his wings are ruined. Ianthe shares where the sisters are located, so they're taken. And then Nesta and Elaine are forced to become Fae.
That's
Like the whole
so messed
scene
up.
is so fucked.
It's so sad.
It's so horrible. Like Elaine and Nesta don't know if they're gonna die in this moment. Cassian realizes like my mate could die and is like just devastated.
So does Lucian.
Yeah, and then there's Lucian who's also upset. I put that too. Like Lucian is hurting for his mate. Cassian's hurting for his mate. Cassian thinks he's gonna die.
Rysand's also sad for his mate.
None of them have powers because the Highburn
Took him away.
whoever, the king of Highburn, he took all their powers away. So like there's literally nothing they can do in this moment.
So helpless.
Eventually, Farrah pulls through and like
Saves the day.
sends them away. But like, it's just such a sad moment. All of them.
Because she does it because makes Tamlin think
Yeah.
that he saved her.
And that's also sad.
That's fucked too.
She has to go, literally go back to this man who treated her like shit and who sold out all her friends
To
and
save
family
the
to
people
save
she
all of
loves.
them. And convince him that she's like, I was like forced against my will. I don't love him. Like, oh, it was just
So
such
hard.
a hard scene
I
to
read
get through.
in a review that was someone's favorite part.
I mean, if you like the drama, I get it.
How is
It
that your
just
favorite
hurts.
part?
It hurts so
It
bad.
hurts so bad. All right. My second one is when Sarah J. Maas killed off their dad, which goes off of yours. Because I know that was your favorite part, but this made me so mad. So mad when she killed off the dad.
that was so
Because
sad.
he was such a bad dude. He was such a deadbeat dad. Like, their whole life. And then finally steps up and wants to be a good dad and does all this good thing for them. And seconds later, he wasn't even able to talk to his daughters about it. They had no hug or congratulations
that was so
or
sad.
love between them two because they were all fighting. And they kill him off.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
And like literally, it
They
wouldn't
didn't
have
have to
changed
do
the
that.
plot at all.
No, they didn't have to do that.
Well, I guess it just made Nesta and Elaine go in a deeper depression.
Yeah, basically, but they didn't need that to happen. The dad could have just been like, okay, I'm gonna go back off to the human world and you have to stay here because you're Fae.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hated that. That made me so mad. It
I
did
mean,
not need to happen.
it made Elaine fucking kill the King of Brimmer, which was badass.
But they could have done that as in like he almost kills the dad
Yeah.
and Elaine's like, my father, and saves her father and kills him.
Yeah.
That would have been even more heroic because then she'd save her dad and kill him and then happy.
That was a sad
Instead-
moment. I was just like,
I was like, why though? Why?
Okay. My second, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. This really peace, love, recent. Okay? But him in the last book
Yeah.
pissed me off.
He's kind of a jackass, wasn't he?
He was so controlling.
Because she was pregnant and
and like it just made it feel like he was turning into Tamlin because he was scared of losing her. Like Tamlin was scared of losing her, and so like he automatically became protective and controlling, like how Tamlin did. And it was like, no. You're supposed to be the good guy. You're supposed to be the feminist icon who lets her make her own decisions and doesn't keep secrets from her and keeps the whole secret that she might die from her.
Yeah,
Even though they're supposed to
hello?
not keep secrets.
That was so awful.
And like puts a shield around her so she can't even hug her friends.
Yeah.
That whole thing, I was like,
That was pretty fucked up.
and he's just being a fucking jackass to Nesta.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, she's not the best sister right now, but she went through trauma just like freaking Farrah did.
And you were so patient and loving with Feyre.
yeah, exactly.
So why are you gonna be that way with?
It just made me mad that Sarah like wrote him like that in the last book, because it's like, why?
Also,
And Farrah's not like that.
and
She
she
doesn't
didn't even
want
stick
that.
up for herself. She was just like, ha, this is
Yeah.
being protective because I'm pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like weird that she wasn't like, okay, let me
Yeah.
be.
She acted like it was fine.
She's literally one of the most powerful fairies in the land, and he's like, no.
My number one. My
Number one,
least favorite moments is Elaine and Lucian's relationship.
Just how it went about.
The whole thing. I know some people ship her with Azriel. I get it. I totally get it. But I really, really, really want something to go right for Lucian. I really want something to go right for him.
Well, the
This
top
poor guy.
Yes.
He's so kind and he has such a good heart.
He does.
And he just keeps finding himself in these terrible situations.
Yeah.
His family disowns him. That's not even, now he finds out that that's not even his real family.
Yeah. His family, his brothers,
His half brothers kill the person he loves, which is
And
fucked
then
up.
disown him for loving her.
Yeah.
Because they don't think he's tough enough or like mean enough. And then the person that is his best friend basically turns out to be this crazy asshole dude.
Yeah.
And so now Lucian has a terrible choice of, do I go against my best friend or do I go against this girl that I know is doing the right thing? And ends up choosing the girl that does the right thing, right? Because that's what he wants to do. Loses his best friend in the process. But then her whole family doesn't even really accept him.
They just kind of like send him off and like, go do our dirty work.
Yeah, poor him. And then makes friends elsewhere, finds his mate, and his mate rejects him.
Well, the whole thing that like
Makes me so
I don't know why Sarah wrote the connection between Azrael and Elaine. Like pick one or the other.
I know.
Because we don't know who to root for. And maybe that's because she's gonna write another book and there's gonna be like a love triangle and that's what's gonna be the drama, but like
Why make him such, like, she really gives him a hard life and gives him 0 wins.
and he just was like, please, you're my mate and I really like you. And she's like, I don't know. I'm just like, and also Elaine as a character is kind of lame.
Yeah. She's so pitiful.
Yeah, she is so pitiful. I mean, I'm sure that I hope she writes another book and kind of redeems her, but
Yeah. Can we talk about how he almost gets raped? By
Ianthe,
Ianthe, whatever her name is, like,
Ianthe.
are you kidding me? Like, he's
yeah.
looking so much, and all of a sudden she's gonna write in that he almost gets raped by her.
I knew from the beginning she was in the book that she was
Really?
a horrible person. I was like,
you always know though.
I was like, there's something fishy about this girl.
Like, Sarah just makes everything bad happen to him.
Yeah, he
Everything bad happens
he
to him.
really has happened.
And he has such
Some
a kind
trauma.
heart, and he always wants to do what's right.
Liked him from the beginning.
I love him, and I just want him to find happiness somewhere.
He will. If she writes another book, he has to.
And
If
why,
she doesn't,
why
maybe
can't
not.
Elaine just accept him?
Why can't Elaine be a better person?
Come on, Elaine. He's her mate.
Elaine's like, let me bake you cakes, but that's all I can do.
all I can do.
She's kind of boring.
I know, and like make like fluttery eyes at Azrael.
What happens to Azrael? He needs to find someone too.
And I
That's
don't
why
like it.
That's
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
like it.
He needs to fall in love with one of the girls
That would be
Ness
so
is friends with.
cute.
I would like that.
I root for Lucian.
My least favorite, and I've told this to Kate, this is I literally, I hate this.
Yeah.
They spend the entire first book making us fall in love with Tamlin. He's the perfect guy. He's so great. We love Farrah and Tamlin together. And then it starts off the second book and he sucks. And I'm just like, why? Like, it's fine if he sucks. But like you said, there needs to be a journey. It can't just start with him sucking. Like,
and he continues to suck even more.
yeah, and it's just like, why?
Why?
Honestly, just like Tamlin, period. I fucking hate him. Like, I just hate that she made us love him. Then it was just like, Tamlin fucking sucks, now fall in love with Rhysand. And I was like, I just fell in love with Tamlin. I don't want her to be with Rhysand. He's supposed to be the bad guy. Like, I don't know. And then she's like, no, but you need to switch like right away. Like, we want you to already like him and like buy Tamlin. Like,
Yeah.
it just like felt too quick.
I get why she did it, but I don't understand why Tamlin had to continue to get worse.
Yes.
I wish that after the whole thing with the king happened, and then she went back and then disappeared, I wish at that point he would have just let it go.
I think he should have like had a better redeeming moment because I know he fought in the war, but then he still kind of continued to be like a jerk.
Exactly,
All
but
messy.
what if it was a plot twist and instead Elaine was Tamlin's mate?
That would be crazy.
Honestly, that would have been better.
That would have been crazy. But then they couldn't have made Tamlin a jerk. So
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That would have made it better because then Tamlin wouldn't have been a jerk if he found out in that moment that Elaine was his mate. Then he would have been like, then he would have realized, I've messed up. I messed up big time. And it would have been better.
She needs to write more books because I literally need to know what happens.
I need to know.
This is a PSA to Sarah J. Maas. Like, literally,
Sarah?
what are you doing?
Please.
Hurry up.
Please.
We need to start with Elaine. We need to get her, redeem her because she's boring as fuck.
And Lucian.
Yeah, well, he'll be a part of the story.
And Israel. It'll probably be those three.
Yeah.
And Morganian.
Then Morgan.
Morgan. I don't know.
It's like Morgan.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, I want a good lesbian love story.
Please give us a lesbian love story with the same quality of sex scenes.
Why say...
Please!
Why say she's a lesbian without giving her a
There's
lesbian?
like, she's a lesbian. Okay, we're just not going to talk about it anymore.
Right. She should fall in love.
What if Morgan falls in love with one of Nesta's friends? What if Nesta gives up Cassie and falls in love? I'm just kidding.
I low-key thought Nesta was a lesbian for
Me
a
too!
while.
I thought that Nesta was going to fall in love with Morgan. That would have been the tea.
Anyway, let's rank the books.
Okay, let's rate them. I'm drunk.
Yes.
Okay.
We're just going to rate them 1 to 5 because you do not need a drink to read these books. They're so good.
No, 1 to 5 stars.
Yes.
Like Goodreads.
Like Goodreads.
Okay.
All right, first book.
4.5.
I'm going to go with that too. 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Solid.
It was
Second
good.
book.
4. I know that's an unpopular opinion.
I'm going to say 5.
I know.
I love the second book. I love it.
I think where we conflict sometimes with books for you guys is that Kay really loves, like, she really loves the character moments, and I really love plot-driven moments. And we both appreciate books who do both really well, which I think Court of Thorns and Roses does. But that book specifically is very character-driven, and that's where I think I kind of lost.
They also introduce a lot of characters.
Yes, and I think it took me a while to get on the bandwagon because I was so stuck on the Tamlin train that I was like, why is this changing?
Third book.
Oh my god,
I would give it a 10.
A 10 out
I would give it a 10.
a 10 out of 5.
Good.
The third book!
It's so good.
I literally was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
I think I finished
That's where Farrah and Rhysand's relationship just is high sparks flying everywhere. I was obsessed the whole time.
I think I read it in 3 days.
It was amazing.
I could not put it down.
Because it really gives everybody their own moment. Every character that you love, everyone has their own moment, and you're like,
it ties the knot on their story.
yeah.
Really well. Really well.
The second book was building up to this war, and then we finally get there, and we're like, yes. Tell us what's gonna happen.
The fourth book.
3 stars.
I'm going to agree 3 stars. This is what I want to say on the third book.
You mean the fourth book?
The fourth book. This is what I want to say on the fourth book. It was necessary, but it's not fun.
It's a connector. Fuck Nesta over.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you suck. And then they're like, okay, but like you guys don't help me.
Exactly. It was sad.
And then when they try to help her, they just blame her though. They're like, you're spending all our money. But like fucking Farrah has 5 houses and they're like, you're spending all this money on drinks. And she's like, bitch, you have 5 houses. Like I think you can afford me getting drinks for
because I have so much trauma. I'm so depressed. But 5th book.
5 stars, baby.
I give it like 1,000. I love the 5th book.
Unpopular opinion, 3rd book was my favorite compared to the 5th. Oh, yes, it was. I like the 3rd book better than the 5th one, but the 5th one's still a really, really close runner-up. Those 2 were my favorites.
I loved the 5th book. I loved it so much. It might be one of my favorite books of all time. I'm not kidding.
It's really. I mean, most people love the 5th book the best. So I'm non-popular. I know a lot of people love the 3rd one too, but usually the 5th one's their favorite. I just think there was not a part in the 3rd book where I was like, don't like that. And just the part with Rhysand being kind of a jerk.
I get that.
I get that. Sucks.
I just love the journey she makes and the journey that Cassie makes and the journey they make together.
Yes.
The friendship and their whole quest.
You know my favorite moment is in the last book.
Yeah.
So you know I loved it.
Yeah.
But overall,
yeah.
the 3rd one.
The sex is it's just everything about it. That's the one book, and I do not read books again. It's like my thing. I would read the 5th book again. I would. I'd read the 5th book again.
700 pages.
See us next week on
Drink Read Fabio.
Have a good night.
Good night, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
She's like, dude,